r/ask Reddit. Who was the dumbest person you ever met? How did you know? Girl in my class asked the professor if other countries have moons. 2. My best friend asked me this when I moved to Europe. She asked if I could see the moon there, or if it only existed for the USA. I had a guy at work tell me that Benjamin Franklin was the 100th president because he's on the $100 bill. I mean, we're only on the 45th, so he could be right one day. I know a guy who thinks the special tea he drinks negates the negative health effects of his pack-a-day smoking habit. I went to school with a girl that legitimately thought 9/11 was done by German Nazis. I know a guy who vaped mercury on a dare. Out of everything in this thread, this one's the most ducked up. I remember proofreading a paper for a freshman my roommate had the hots for. It was on Jonathan Swift's A Modest Proposal, but somehow this freshman didn't catch that it was satire. The opening lines of the paper are burned into my memory. Eating children would not be a good thing to do. In fact, we could say it would be bad. I used to work with the nicest person I've ever met, but he was also the dumbest. Even though he had been there over a year, he couldn't do anything beside washing dishes without someone watching over him. He just could not figure out how to do anything on his own. Someone, usually me, would have to watch over every little thing he did to make sure he was doing it right. It would have been frustrating if he wasn't the nicest damn person on earth. He was always so happy to see you and did everything with a smile on his face. Luckily he could wash dishes like a ducking beast. I'm not exaggerating when I say he could wash dishes faster and cleaner than anyone I have ever met. That's the reason he would do other stuff, is because he washed dishes so damn fast we'd have to find other stuff for him to do. His wife was normal and all his kids were doctors or engineers. They were all crazy smart. What was kind of sad is that he knew he wasn't the smartest, but he was so damn nice. I had a boss who told me that she never kept leftovers from a meal because that's how polio got started. I asked a temp at work to weigh a couple of lever arch files for postage. She came back and told me they were 65 kilograms. I asked if it were possible that it was 6.5 kilograms, but she insisted it wasn't. We argued about it for a good 5 minutes. It wasn't until I asked her how much she weighed, 59 kg, that did finally twig that these two small folders couldn't possibly weigh more than her. A girl in my class in middle school genuinely thought people had landed on the sun. Her explanation for this belief was to insist that the moon and sun are made of the same stuff. Well, yep, protons, neutrons, and electrons. You can build a lot of wacky shit with that, though. My sister-in-law is an anti-vaxxer and believes her kid's cerebral palsy was caused by vaccines, despite the kid being born with 1/4 of her brain physically missing. That girl is lucky. She could have been born missing her whole brain like her mother. A friend that told me that drinking protein shakes means that my muscles are all fake and fat. My stepdad literally told me the same thing yesterday. He said protein shakes give you fake muscle, and I was confused as to how he came to this conclusion. A girl in my sophomore year of high school who thought there were 6 months in a year. She was really nice, but very surprised and confused when we tried to set her right. Edit. For those asking which months she would have included in her version of a year, I don't think she thought that far ahead. A girl in my art class in high school thought there was just a part of the cow called meat. When we explained meat is the muscles, she freaked out and became vegetarian. My best friend had a foods teacher who thought the same thing. Summarily, you had to cook the outside of the meat, because that's where the germs, specifically E. coli, were. Edit. This is true. Please keep reading. When my friend commented that parasites could be also present in the muscle tissue, the teacher claimed we don't eat muscle tissue. Too dumbfounded to ask a counter question. We will forever wonder what she thought we ate. One time my now ex-girlfriend was watching Maury Povich, one of those paternity test episodes with a classic "you are not the father" moment, and she turns to me and says, "If we ever have a baby and I found out I'm not the mother, I'll kill you." Thankfully we didn't end up reproducing. You just randomly bring home a baby. Congratulations, dear, we've had a child. I was working retail at the time, and this lady walks in and asks me to tell her when it is 10:15 AM. She needs to catch a bus. We were slow, so I obliged. 10:15 am rolls around and I tell her, so she drops her stuff and runs out to get the bus. 5 minutes later she comes back, it's scowling, and she then lectures me on how to tell time. How much is a quarter? 25 cents. So why would you tell me a quarter after tenor is 10:15 a? It's 10:25 am. Tell her that her bus is late today. It will be in at $3 to 11. Half of my science class thought that the International Space Station was just some building on the ground. Ah yes, the International Land Station. She had a mug from Disneyland with the name Ronald on it. She thought you just picked a mug of the name you like and not your actual ducking name. I love this and want it to be a thing. They thought dinosaurs were fictional. I knew a grown woman who thought that dinosaurs never existed, were a hoax that is being perpetuated through time by scientists trying to be in on the joke. Her main argument for this point: if dinosaur bones are real, tell me why it's only ever a paleontologist that keeps finding the bones. There was a guy who made a fun of me because I was a pedestrian waiting a green light. I have geography in 3rd period and this kid thinks there's 2 Floridas. Florida. Flowrider. It checks out. Worked with a lady who I convinced you could buy full-size dinosaurs online. Also believed Denzel Washington was the president when Obama was in office. No lie. While visiting the Lincoln Memorial, I ran into an older couple discussing the inscription of the Gettysburg Address on the walls. The woman asked the man what this was in reference to and if it was about America, and the man said something to the effect of, no, this couldn't be about America. We never had any slaves here in our country. It must be about what happened in country X. These were 2 Americans. My friend wanted me to try whole wheat pasta. I explained that I'm allergic to wheat. She said to try it because it's not wheat, it's whole wheat. Dang it, late to the party. Anyway, I was a cook a few years ago and this particular busy night we ran out of lobster mac and cheese. This one waitress could not understand how this was possible and just kept nagging and nagging in disbelief. I got annoyed to the point that I told her the reason for this was that there was a shortage of people with small enough hands to milk lobster's tiny nipples. Hence a worldwide shortage of lobster milk to make that dish. I had to come clean with her when she started telling this to customers and they demanded to speak with a manager. Dumbest basic girl in my history class was convinced that 9/11 was just called that because 911 is the emergency line. She deadass never knew that it was nicknamed off of the date. After the history teacher tried to explain it to her, her response was something like, but 9/11 happened in September, not in 9. 9 isn't even the name of a month, so it can't be the date, and everyone went into silence after that. Whoa, you made it to the end? You're a ducking beast. I'll cut you a deal. Smash like and subscribe for more curated content, bruh. It's free and that's a great price.